Imagine this, a vibrant Jamaican economy where businesses thrive, a country where everyone has access to world-class education, healthcare, and a justice system. A Jamaica where each of us is empowered to be the best version of ourselves. In today's show, we highlight some of the programs and partnerships that are helping to make this vision a reality. I'm Adrian Atkinson, and you're watching Jamaica Magazine. Stay tuned.
Let's celebrate Jamaica to the world. Fastest man in the world. First Jamaican woman to win gold in Olympic 100-meter sprint. An upcoming global superstar. Mouth-watering meals. And a vibrant set of people. We are Jamaicans. Let's get together and bring back the love.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, March 7. Former head of the JDF, Major General Anthony Anderson, is Jamaica's new Commissioner of Police. His appointment was confirmed by the Police Service Commission yesterday, and it takes effect on March 19. Major General Anderson currently serves as the country's first National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister and Cabinet, a post he filled since December 2016. Prior to that, he was Chief of Defense Staff of the Jamaica Defence Force. Major General Anderson has been educated at the UK's Royal Military Academy, the Canadian Forces Staff School, and the Canadian Land Forces Staff College, as well as the International Officer Studies Division of the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College, and at the Harvard Kennedy School of Management. According to the Police Service Commission, Major General Anderson has the demonstrated ability to lead the JCF at an important point of transformation and strengthening relationships with the other bodies that make up the island's security architecture. As Police Commissioner, he will be responsible for enhancing the public security services in the country, improving public order, reducing corruption, and improving management and accountability within the force. Stakeholders in Jamaica's petroleum industry are to benefit from training and technical services from experts out of Mexico. This is being facilitated under a Memorandum of Understanding between the Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica and the Mexican Petroleum Institute. It was signed Tuesday as part of the working visit of Mexico's Foreign Secretary, Dr. Luis Vidaguray Caso. During a press conference at Jamaica House, Dr. Vidaguray said the agreement would facilitate the transfer of state-of-the-art technologies and knowledge in refining to make Jamaica's energy supply more flexible.
And to be able to transform itself into a more reliable and more secure source of energy for Jamaica.
Jamaica's Foreign Affairs Minister, Kamina Johnson-Smith, welcomed the new partnership, which she says was among several areas in which both countries agreed to deepen relations.
We agreed to work together to strengthen our bilateral cooperation framework, deepen trade and investment ties, as well as to promote a peaceful and prosperous Latin America and Caribbean region.
Minister Johnson-Smith and Secretary Vidaguray also held discussions on bilateral cooperation projects in agriculture, education, technology, and culture. Prior to the press conference, the Mexican Foreign Secretary paid a courtesy call on Prime Minister Andrew Holness and met with high-level officials from the Economic Growth Council and JAMPRO. The Jamaica Business Development Corporation, JBDC, will be establishing 5 small business development centers in the new financial year. The entity has budgeted $30 million of projected income to set up the centers in Westmoreland, Portland, Manchester, St. Anne, and St. Catherine.
Those centers will facilitate small business to not have to travel large distances to get expert advice and to be trained in the affairs of establishing a business and maintaining the management structures necessary for small business to succeed.
The minister was addressing the Standing Finance Committee of Parliament on Thursday, March 1. He also indicated that a small business unit had been established within the ministry to support the expansion of this sector. More patients at the Cornwall Regional Hospital in St. James will be relocated as renovations on the facility continue. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton announced in a press conference at Jamaica House yesterday that over the next month, alternative locations will be sought for the roughly 150 patients still being treated in the main building. They are in addition to 145 beds accommodated on the exterior of the 470-bed facility. Dr. Tufton says the move is necessary as the hospital's initial ventilation issue has morphed into a crisis of multiple problems.
Where what was initially a ventilation system has morphed into mold cleaning, chimney stock and broiler removal, sewage issues, and leaking roofs to be repaired and so on.
Cornwall Regional is currently undergoing $2 billion in renovations, and due to the expanded scope of work, Dr. Tufton says the completion date has been extended from April to about November. In the meantime, he says services continue to be offered at nearby healthcare facilities.
A lot of the services are still being provided, even in an inconvenience environment. So while we have a crisis with the building, we don't have a catastrophe in terms of the services that are offered.
And finally, some of the nation's celebrated artists will come together for a free concert to mark International Women's Day on Thursday. The 3-hour event begins at 6 p.m. inside the National Indoor Sports Center. It is being organized by the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport in collaboration with the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Senior advisor to the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Lenford Salmon, says the concert is just one of many activities to highlight Women's Day. All are intended to have women's voices be heard so that issues affecting them can be addressed. Tomorrow's concert will be preceded by a symposium at the same venue starting at 10 a.m. It will be held under the theme Empowering Women and Girls in Science, Technology and Business. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
We want a productive Jamaica. We all are productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity for a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity.
Productivity, Pathway to Prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Solid partnerships are essential if Vision 2030 is to be achieved. The government has been working with the Inter-American Development Bank for over 40 years to strengthen the economy, protect our natural environment, and create effective social protection programs, among other things. Find out more about this relationship next.
Developing a robust economy, enabling a thriving business environment, building resilience to climate change, protecting the most vulnerable in society. Some of the ways Jamaica's leading source of development financing, the Inter-American Development Bank, is working with the government to improve lives. The Inter-American Development Bank is strengthening Jamaica's economy by providing assistance to the government's economic reform program.
We started out on this journey 4 years ago with the 2013 IMF program, which had a very significant financing component to it. So part of it was funded by the IMF, part of it was funded by the IDB, part of it was funded by the World Bank. So we were 3 partners all helping Jamaica restructure its economy. That has been extremely successful, as you know. Jamaica sailed through that program, met every single target, all the reforms were done, and hence we see confidence coming back, not just domestic investors, but also consumers are starting to feel like, all right, things are happening in the country.
We borrowed $600 million in one single year. That year made us the largest borrower from the IDB. We've put it in a range of very important projects that have been supportive of the government's reform program.
Micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, are the backbone of Jamaica's economy, creating an estimated 90% of new jobs. The IDB engages MSMEs through the Multilateral Investment Fund, MIF.
Primarily through providing access to finance to entrepreneurs and also to help them with their capacity building and create an ecosystem in which they can thrive and do well.
Funding from the MIF was channeled through the Jamaica Stock Exchange to assist businesses such as CAC 2000 Limited to access equity capital through the junior stock market.
We are growing, we are trying to manage the growth. We are actually growing out of our establishment right now. We don't have enough space, so we're looking to expand as much as we can now.
Red Stripe's Project Grow, which aims to replace 40% of an imported raw material with locally grown cassava, has been boosted with a technical assistance grant of US $80,000 from the IDB.
We have 200 people now working under this project. If you take into consideration that you take an impact of an average of 7 persons impacted by every direct people employed, we're impacting almost 1,400 people in Jamaica.
Larger companies receive assistance through IDB Invest, the private sector arm of the bank. Investments are made in projects that will have a major development impact in the region and the country.
If you look at the Kingston Container Terminal project, for instance, we've provided almost 90 million in financing to that project. And the whole idea here is that with that investment, Jamaica can play a greater role in being a logistics hub and playing a role in international transshipment.
The IDB is helping to build Jamaica's resilience to climate change through the Pilot Program for Climate Resilience, PPCR.
We have right now 3 major projects that are being supported under the PPCR. The first one is on a national level, and that's the adaptation program and financial mechanisms. The second side of it goes directly into adaptation. And the third component of this is the financial mechanisms. And one of them is a line of credit that is being implemented by Jamaica National Group.
The owners of Forest Park Guest House and Farms used this loan facility to make their business more climate smart.
These ponds basically harvest the rainwater, and from that we can do whatever needs that the farm has.
The bank helps vulnerable Jamaicans through the Program for Advancement through Health and Education, PATH, and the Citizen Security and Justice Program, CSJP.
I don't think I would have done so successful if I wasn't on the PATH program, knowing that the lunch that they provide for me every day, it helped me a lot knowing that when I have more food in my belly, it can help me to stay up more and study more for longer hours.
The IDB has been a supporting partner of the CSJP, a crime prevention initiative, since the program started 17 years ago. The various services offered by the CSJP have impacted several volatile and vulnerable communities across Jamaica.
We have a program called the Violence Interruption Program, which is implemented by PMI on behalf of CSJP. And we have seen communities or groups in communities that have gone into peace truce.
The Inter-American Development Bank continues to work with the Jamaican government to improve lives and help Jamaica to become the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
Did you know climate change is decreasing the quality and quantity of water?
Climate change is expected to affect all aspects of food security, especially in the tropical region of which we are a part.
Climate change-related hazards such as prolonged droughts, more severe storms, and the overall irregularity of rainfall. These climatic stressors have resulted a reduction of water in our rivers and watersheds.
Youth, we are depending on you to spread the message of climate change and its impacts. Be a climate change agent in your home, school, or community. With climate change, we must change.
the recent trembling of the earth gave persons a scare. Because an earthquake is sudden, we don't think about it until it's happening, which may be too late. Fortunately, there are persons who are always thinking about protecting us from this and other natural disasters. Watch this.
Disasters are expensive, costing life and property and a great deal of money for cleanup and repairs. For Jamaica, our small size, location and topography means that the country is especially vulnerable to earthquakes, hurricanes and floods. While it's difficult to prevent these devastating events, there are things that can be done to reduce the damage. The Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project DVRP, funded by the World Bank and implemented by the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, aims to strengthen the country's ability to withstand and recover from natural disasters.
It's a project that's going to be focused on physical infrastructure investments, equipping and institutional strengthening of the relevant government agencies that are normally tasked to do this work. I'm talking about OPM, I'm talking about the Ministry of Local Government, through the Fire Brigade, through NEPA, through the National Works Agency, the Earthquake Unit at the University of the West Indies. These are normally the agencies that have to respond when natural disaster strikes.
Fire services are most critical in protecting life and property from not only fires but also other natural disasters. Under the Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project DVRP, over 140,000 persons within the parishes of St. Mary, St. James and St. Thomas will benefit from 3 new fire stations that will be constructed and provided with rescue equipment to include protective gears and extrication tools.
Well, I'll feel a little more secure going away, know that I have fire service right next to me and they would be better able to respond to the event of a fire.
This new fire station means a lot to us in that it will give us peace of mind, knowing that we are in a more secure building so that we can serve our community members better.
Even though Jamaica has not experienced a major earthquake since 1907, every year the country experiences over 200 minor tremors, and the threat of major devastation is always looming. When it comes to preparing for an earthquake, data collection is important as this helps in understanding the risk associated with this event and will inform policy towards strengthening the country's resilience. Through the DVRP, assistance will be given to the University of the West Indies Mona Campus Earthquake Unit, which is responsible for monitoring the country's seismic activities. All their seismic stations will be upgraded.
There's a number of different pieces of equipment we can receive. The first one is a series of seismometers, and these are digital seismometers. And these are to basically fit out the remaining stations with digital seismometers. So we're going to end up with those 10 stations completely upgraded, and then add an additional station to it, so an 11th station there. So we're moving from what we call analog to digital. Additionally, we have a series of accelerometers. And the accelerometers do a different thing. The seismometers are there to record the earthquakes and they don't get triggered early on. The accelerometers are really there to tell us how the buildings shake. What is the severity of the shaking that goes on? And the importance of that is that a building will survive up to a certain amount of shaking and then it will collapse and then it will kill people. We obviously want to understand across Jamaica how the acceleration changes, how when you get an earthquake, the building shaking changes across the island.
In an effort to address Jamaica's limited human capacity in the field of seismology, the project will fund a junior research fellow who will read for a PhD degree in seismology over a 3-year period and upon completion will be employed as a seismologist in the unit. Floods have large social and economic consequences for communities and individuals. When there's a heavy downpour, which is not unusual for the island, the lives of residents in many communities are disrupted. The project will see major infrastructure work done in Old Harbour and along Port Royal Street to limit the effects of rising and rough waters.
The improvement works in Old Harbour will include the expansion and the improvement of the urban drainage and also bridges. Myton Gully, Church Pen, those areas in Old Harbour, and Big Pond.
Big Pond, whenever time it comes, I mean, no car can pass, flood out my house, wash our clothes, anything. You understand? So we'll be grateful for JSIF and everybody to come on for coming on board to fix it.
When the pan come over, it's hamper even to school children then. It is so dangerous that it take life already. When JSIF and NWA are coming, come do this for me. Oh my God, just like that. We'd be so glad and happy.
Along Port Royal Street in Kingston, 2 kilometers of coastal revetments will be constructed and retrofitted. This will benefit the patrons and owners of the various business establishments located around this area, as well as users of the Norman Manley International Airport. And there's more.
There is also a very important, critical element of the DVRP, which is funding to support training on the building code. Jamaica is moving towards enacting a new code, and so it will be important that persons involved in the construction industry, the players in government, or professionals, engineers, architects, etc., are fully exposed and trained on this new building code, and the project will support that.
The total cost for the overall project is $42 million and is expected to be completed by 2022. The best time to prepare for a natural disaster is before it happens. Collecting information on disaster and risk reduction, constructing disaster-resilient buildings and structures will go a far way in limiting the cost of these natural hazards within Jamaica.
Jamaicans are big dreamers. To make it in life is usually in the minds of most Jamaicans. That may mean buying a home, starting a business, or furthering your education. But to turn visions into solid reality, work has to be done. First, set a goal. If you want to be successful, you have to know what you want to achieve and be specific. So if you want to save money, for example, have a definite amount in mind. Next, always make a plan. A plan will outline how you will go about achieving these dreams. Then, get started. Procrastination is the thief of time, so don't delay. Start working on your goals pronto. Also, never give up. Once you have started the work, be persistent. Know that problems will arise and some of the best made plans get messed up. But don't be afraid to start over or change the plan a little while always keeping the goal in mind. And finally, try to enjoy what you're doing, as you're more likely to stick with it once you're motivated. We hope you take these tips as you make plans to become a better you and can play your part in making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
Along with all our problems, I believe
That's all for this edition of Jamaica Magazine, but the journey does not end here. Watch this and other editions of the show online. Just visit our website or check out our YouTube channel. As usual, your feedback is always welcomed. Send us an email or drop us a line on our social media pages. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.